Disclaimer, warning, the content will examine phenomena that some would find offensive, inappropriate, insensitive and triggering. This content neither suggests, nor implies, medical, or any other professional advice. This is a light-hearted discussion of a comedian and his therapist friend engaged in hypothetical conversation on Black mental health and race. In no way are the following views and content associated, or affiliated, with this, or any other, platform that this podcast may be accessed. All information and opinion are independent expression of free speech that a reasonable person may freely consider adapting or opposing in their own paradigm.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the universe. What's going on, brother?
Brother, I just want to start off by saying that the black man is God. No, it's like,
Yes, sir. In no limited time, brother. Welcome back, brother. We had a little hiatus. I am back in one piece. I hope you're back in one piece.
amen, brother.
You know, they try to split us up into many pieces. Well, you be pieces of a man, as Gil Scott-Heron songs used to say. If you allow the system to get to you.
Well, I've identified my piece, my pieces, brother. That's arm, leg, arm, head.
Yes, sir. And they can't divide that no matter how hard they try.
So, brother, the mathematics are right and exactly.
Yes, sir. Welcome to our audience. You are listening to Black Mental Health and Race, and I am motherfucking Doug. And my co-host is Dr. Moore. Welcome back, my brother.
Indeed, indeed.
What's going on, brother?
Well, I don't know, bro. Everything and anything.
Your boy. I'm being facetious, but your boy, you're getting closer to winning this bet, brother. But I still hold true that Trump will not serve one day in jail, not even one day. But he is now guilty on 34 counts of salacious money transferring.
Well, brother, I'm a black man that votes. So I believe that no one is above the system. And while I believe that the system is tampered and flawed, I am happy to see it work when it works. I am happy to see that, and I know people that are anti-system, American, all that, and I get it. And, right. and I get it. I totally understand. Particularly being a person of color, in this country. Which makes it doubly which makes me doubly grateful when the system works. And so for a man who almost 30 years ago in that same courtroom paid for thousands and thousands of dollars of ads for 5 black and brown young brothers who weren't even adults, saying throw the book at them, they should get the death sentence, and taking out all these ads, against these young teenage black boys who are now innocent, who are now the exonerated 5, but to have spend so much of their life, behind bars, to see him indicted on 34 charges and become a convicted felon, you know, it made me feel good.
Yes, sir. Rightfully so. Um, I find it funny, not to take away from this conviction, trial conviction, but I find it more relevant that there has been no debate, and the election is this November. There hasn't been one fucking debate between the two top candidates.
Yeah, but there's
Don't you find that strange?
no, because it's scheduled. They have a scheduled debate 2 weeks before his sentencing. The first debate is 2 weeks before his sentencing. So it's there's supposed to be, I think, 2 or 3 debates before November that have already been agreed upon. Now, what won't surprise me is if he backs out of them, particularly the first debate, right? Because the first debate is going to take place 2 weeks prior to his conviction, which is, I think, not his sentencing, which is what I think July the 10th, right?
Right, something like
so,
that.
Yeah,
What, 30 days?
Yeah, so they're supposed to have a first debate next month. Well, it's already it's in June now, so sometime this month. It'll be interesting to see if he adheres to that debate, because I'm almost, well, I was gonna say I'm almost sure, but I'm not almost sure. But
you never
I
can
would,
be with this
right,
guy.
right. I would not be surprised his and his handlers advise him not to take the debate because of how it might impact his sentencing. His sentencing on in July. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. But it is one that's scheduled.
Wow. On to a lighter subject, my brother. The NBA playoffs. You want to talk playoffs? Playoffs? What say you, brother?
I say New York got blown away.
And I am happy. And as soon as they brought that loser Spike Lee back, that's when they started to lose. Fell apart. They choked again, brother. I thought they were going to choke in the first round. I'm surprised they even got past the Philadelphia 76ers. But the Indiana Pacers have been the Knicks killers since the 80s and 90s, brother. If it wasn't the Indiana Pacers that took them out, it was the damn Houston Rockets. You couldn't get past Akeem Olajuwon or Reggie Miller, the Indiana Pacers Knick killer. And they couldn't get past the Knicks, the Indiana Pacers this time. But then the Pacers got trashed by the Boston Celtics. They got dog walked. But as you said, rightfully so, the Knicks got their behinds handed to them. They were told to go fishing. It's going to be the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban, I didn't realize he was the damn owner of the team.
What?
I sure didn't realize.
Where have you been, bro?
I have no idea. I knew he owned some sports team, but I didn't realize it was the Dallas Mavericks.
I knew he owned a sports team, but I was not aware that it was the current NBA champion winning Boston Celtics 2024.
I don't know. Sometimes my mind ain't all the way there.
Yeah, bro.
I got bigger fish to fry. And the message is saying we shouldn't be sports. It's about sport and play, brother. It's not Islam.
It sounds like it, bro.
And that's probably where my mind was. I wasn't paying attention. But that it's gonna be the Dallas Mavericks against the Boston Celtics. Hated Boston Celtics. Oh, let me give a rest in peace to Bill Walton. This is a white man, but he was pretty prolific in the world of sports. The Boston Celtics. We knew in the 80s that the Boston Celtics was the only all-white team. Now, they only had like one black player through most of their championships. It was like Dennis Johnson or Robert Parrish. It was the only two black people I could remember that were prominent on the team. But Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, those were like the iconic figures for the Boston Celtics when they ran the court, killed the Knicks, and took championships home. And
Showing
they are
age,
back.
bro.
Yes, sir. Way
Showing-
back in the day.
No,
I
I say you
stopped watching the NBA when these niggas started walking. This nigga just walked. Ain't nobody gonna call it. If you seen LeBron James, he just walks all over the court and they never call this shit.
Yeah, you showing
I'm
your age. You showing your age, bro. Talking
I
about
should
some,
just be silent.
yeah,
Why did
talking
you
about
be quiet?
Talking about Larry Bird and Robert Parrish. Like,
That's way
who?
back in the day. I think that's
Talking
the
about,
last time I watched. I stopped watching the NBA after Michael Jordan.
you talking, that's like during slavery times. That's how the younger generation listening. That's what they think.
like Reconstruction.
Right. What who?
Old head.
Right.
Like, who are you talking about, old head?
Right. You gotta go back and you gotta go back to like VCR days to pull them up.
Like black and white.
Right.
Yeah, but the congratulations to the Boston Celtics, the 2024 NBA champions. A show that I like. It's not the popular show that you would think it is, but it's actually very popular, very entertaining. Shark Tank. Have you ever watched it?
Man, I've been watching Shark Tank. What are you talking about?
Oh man, that's a beautiful show. I just got turned on to it. They up to the 14th season.
Bruh, I've been watching Shark Tank for years.
Man, they turned the light bulb on in my fucking brain. I'm like, damn, here come people with no background and nothing, and can get $100,000 just for 10 to 15% of their company. It's like crowdfunding, but on television. They turn it into a reality show. It's very entertaining and very smart to watch. If you want to do anything ambitious in life, it's a good motivating show.
Yeah, or if you're just a creative person and you have an idea.
Right. So there's hope for anybody.
What I'm going to encourage you to do is I want you to write in, call in, and let them know that you have a podcast and you would like some funding for it.
$100,000 for 15% of my show.
No, 50%.
Well, what's the show about? Well, it's really about nothing, but talk about blacks and Jews and niggas. Wow.
No, bro. Let me help you out. I'm gonna give you some selling points, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
you want to tell them that it's the black version of Seinfeld, right?
Hey, show about nothing.
There you go. There you go. But you want to give it some context, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
How about the white man is the devil? How about that for context? I not forgotten that they sat Damon John's black ass down. Somebody died, and Minister Farrakhan had given some eulogy remarks, and Damon Jones had said on his Twitter that it was very enlightening to hear Minister Farrakhan speak on the departure of this person. I forgot who it was. Was it for George Floyd or some famous actor, somebody that he had spoken, and I think it was George Floyd. And he said, "What did you say?" Minister Farrakhan. They made him retract every word he said and apologize. But he did the right thing, because you're not going to be on these white folks shows talking about the white man is the devil and all this other shit. Or you're not even going to be on the show if you support people with any type of vitriol, as they call it. Oh, that's what I meant to ask you. Your boy, Ben Shapiro. Of course, I'm being facetious about it being your boy. But he's got this thing called the Overton window.
With regard to Ben Shapiro's last words on the subject of firing Candace Owens, he made a very legal declaration of his company policy for employees. He has this thing called the Overton window. Have you ever heard of it, brother? Who is this again? The Overton window.
Pro-Israel,
He's like a big pro-Israel, pro-Jewish type person, like the ADL type.
Person, like the ADL type people.
I got you.
The JDL type people. And speaking of nuts, Netanyahu, who should be, I said on our last podcast, should be a war criminal, has been indicted. But I forgot, was this the International something organization?
The International Criminal Court, ICC, has sought arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and several Hamas leaders, including Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Deif, and Ismail Haniyeh. These indictments are related to alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity committed during the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, which intensified significantly following Hamas's attacks on southern Israel on October 7, 2023. The ICC prosecutor Karim Khan has accused the Hamas leaders of crimes including murder, extermination, and the taking of hostages. Netanyahu and Gallant are charged with crimes such as starvation of civilians, extermination, and intentionally directing attacks against a civilian population. The charges against Israeli officials involve the alleged use of starvation as a method of warfare and other actions deemed to cause great suffering and serious injury to the civilian population of Gaza. OI, citation, ICC, seeking arrest warrants for Hamas leaders and Israel's Netanyahu. UN New
has indicted him and Hamas, rightfully so, for war crimes. He's not going to show up for the indictment, but also rest in peace to Bill Walton. Went around the world to get back to that brother. Um, he died of cancer. Cancer is the enemy of us all, no matter what color you are. Hopefully one day we'll have better resources and medical treatments to fight cancer without it being so debilitating and destructive to us and our family members. My father died of cancer,
Oh, wow.
and he was a healthy man. At 80 years old, he was healthy as a horse. But he fell sick with that cancer. And when he finally went to the doctor, it said he had less than 6 months to live. And he went just as quick as they predicted.
Mm.
I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye.
Wow. Wow.
And when you see somebody healthy like that, and all of a sudden you're like, what's going on? And he called for me to come down there. You know, he's in South Carolina. I just bought a house at 80 years old.
Wow.
His first house. He was raised as an immigrant in Barbados and came to America.
Mm.
Lived in the projects in New York City. And he finally got to the point when he retired that he saved up a few dollars and bought a house. I think the house was like $64,000. A house and 3 acres of land in South Carolina, brother.
What
not a
happened to
bad
that?
deal. It's probably got grass growing up to the rafters, brother.
Well, you guys didn't do anything with it?
He asked us to, and we were maintaining it. We maintained it because my mother said that we had to maintain it. But my father had requested when he died, knowing how trifling we was as niggas, to sell it back to the bank. But my mother honored him in his death by telling us that me, I'm a sibling to 2 brothers and 1 stepsister, but she's always been a sister to me. But just for people listening, wanting to know the relationship. So we maintained it. But Mike had 2 kids, and so those 2 kids are going to all be in this heir property, HEIR, heir property. Nevertheless, when their father died, which is my brother, they fought us for the land. Even though it was a 1/4 deal. Each brother and sister, since it was 4 of us, got 1/4 of the land and property. So when Mike died, his 2 kids get that 1/4 portion of his. That's how heir property works. You only get the portion of your parent, which is only 1/4 of it. But they thought that meant, since he lived in the property physically, that they get the whole land and property, even though we had some type of interest in it. So it got to the point where we said, you know what? Keep it. Y'all want to fight us over it? I mean, physically wanted to fight us over it. Y'all keep it. And they haven't been able to do nothing with it since.
Mm.
But it's a shame how people allow property to divide a family up like that. But these things happen.
Well, not just property, man, but when it comes to money, there's a saying that says when money comes to the table, God leaves room.
Amen, brother. Amen. So that's where it is on that. You are listening to Black Mental Health and Race. We're not going to keep you long. Actually, myself and brother are just catching up after 30 days. I don't know, brother. Maybe we might want to move the podcast to once a month instead of once a week. And that way we don't have to feel so compelled to come back every week with some new topics. I think if you would like, speaking to the audience now, to hear us speak, we have over 3 seasons. So that's over like 50 episodes a season of some real enlightening stuff. I don't think it's meant to empower you, but it sure will make you think and sometimes make you laugh. And we don't take ourselves too serious here, even though sometimes we talk about very serious subjects and very serious situations. I think if you want real help, you have to search yourself and then seek out a professional like Dr. Moore, who has sacrificed his life to put in the work. And I think that's what this show is all about, putting in the work. There's no, what am I looking for? There's no bullshit here that we're not going to sell you a snake bite remedy here. People are in the real world and have real problems, and there's no way we could solve that over the phone in an hour-long show or a 2-hour-long show. And anybody that tells you that they can help you in that amount of time, I think Dr. Moore would like to have a conversation with you about what you profess to be able to do.
Well, not only, this is not the place to come to get healed in an hour, right? Because whatever it is, if you have an issue, right, you probably didn't get the issue in an hour, right? The issue, issue probably, occurred over time. So the healing will probably, will take time,
Indeed.
and even, and even with the recommendations that we could make, at the end of the day, it's still going to take time. There's no pill that you can take that's going to cure whatever it is that is going on with you, right? Because there's no one quick fix to it. And I think if that's what you're looking for, that's part of the problem that you have, is you're looking for a simple fix for a complex issue, right? Because even if you're going, to take the recommendation, to see a psychiatrist or to see a therapist, or to seek help, just because you go see a therapist doesn't mean that that's the end all to be all, right? And while I hate to equate it to voting, it's like saying, well, I voted, but the world still have issues, right? Your voting is part of the work, right? You're going to see the psychiatrist as part of the work. You're going to see a therapist as part of the work, right? And so, because the therapist is not going to fix you in a day, it's going to be a process. It's like you saying that you want to lose weight, or you want to gain muscle. Well, you're not going to go to the gym, right, and get a trainer
in an hour,
and get a trainer and think that trainer is going to fix you in one day. He might give you a good workout in that one day. Same way we're going to see a psychiatrist or a therapist. You may get a good workout, or a nice session in that one day, but it's going to be the work that you do after you leave the session that's really going to bring the improvement and the help that you need in your life.
So basically, this is a self-improvement show, but the self is the important part. And getting the work in for self is not going to change the world, but it's going to change you. And that is the only important thing that you should be concerned with. If you don't like the way your world is shaping up right now, you may not be able to control the world, but you're able to control your place in the world. And that's why you always use you as a great example, Dr. Moore, that you grew up in the hood just like me, but now you have doctor in front of your name, and rightfully so. You put in the work where others were just talking. A lot of people wanted self-improvement, but the actual work of putting it in, that you're honored with the title now, is an accomplishment that even woke me up. Well, I thought I was already woke.
Mhm. Well, I think that's the humility part, right? Or the humbling part is, you know, we were always taught that the path of God, the path of Allah is an infinite path, right? And so because you're learning from the cradle to the grave, you never know all that you need to know, want to know about yourself or about God, right? It's an infinite path. And it's only until you think that you have arrived that you have, in fact, deviated from the path, because you never arrive at the path. You're always on the path. And as long as you're on the path, you're always humbled and you always learn.
Indeed, my brother. Indeed. So we hope that every time that you do hear us on these airwaves, that you find something not just motivational, but inspiring. If you are a creative type, speak your own level. If you are intellectual type, seek your own level. If you're academic type, seek your own level. But your level has to change. If you want to see change, you can't see it in the world. You have to see it in yourself. And I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned doing these podcasts with you, Dr. Moore. The fact that I want change, it's not going to come on the outside. It can only come from internal, and I must project it out to the world. I think it was a key element that I was missing in my awakeness or my enlightenment. And it took me a long time to realize it. It even took me dying inside, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to realize that. And so I'm very appreciative of you and being able to engage in a conversation with you on Black mental health and race.
Yeah, I think part of it, bro, is we have to move away from the fear or the apprehension of understanding that we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. We have to be the change that we want to see in ourselves. Right? We have to understand that nothing outside of us, is going to save us, is going to change us. Right? And so you have to embrace that is within you. Right? Because we were always taught, particularly like in Islam, it's Islam manifests from the inside out, not the outside in. Right? So it's not what you put on, but it's what you manifest out. Right? So whatever it is that you are aspiring for in life, it's not going to be what you put on social media. It's not going to be what you put on your body. It's not going to be, any external thing. It's going to, it's going to be that internal light that has a turn on, that has an ignite to motivate you to get you where you want to be. And if it intimidates you to think long term, then think one day at a time, one moment at a time, one movement at a time.
Which is something you can manage, right?
Exactly, right. Make it manageable, right? One day at a time. Today, I'm just going to get up at a decent hour.
Right.
I'm just going to write this, or I'm just going to do this. Right.
Today
and
I'm
then,
gonna dress better. I'm gonna speak better. I'm gonna think better of myself.
Right.
Anything.
Right. And you start those. Right. And you start those small steps, and those small steps, you'll look up one day, and you'll see the movement. Right. You'll see the progress. Right. Wow. This week I accomplished this. This week I accomplished this. And the thing is, if you never commit, you never get it done. If you if you don't commit to something and you aren't consistent with it, it never happens.
Just when you think you've seen progress,
and I think I told you before,
it'll look like it never happened.
Nobody
You
cares
have to be
about
careful out there.
the story of well, it's not that nobody cares. Nobody hears the story of the person that tried. The only stories that are told are the people that did. So you have to decide what side of that fence you want to be on.
Right.
And then you commit to that. Because here's the thing, Brother Douglas. What's the opposite of that? What's the other side of that? The other side of that is
doing nothing.
It's
Right.
nothing.
Doing absolutely nothing.
Right.
And expecting different results.
Yep.
Brother, I have to bring up this tragic story. This is another officer-involved shooting. This is in Florida, the stand your ground state, and it's okay to carry weapons state. I think there's only 13 states that have gun laws.
As of 2024, there are 21 states in the U.S. that are considered to have the least restrictive gun laws. These states often have laws that allow for permitless carry of firearms, lack universal background checks for private sales, and do not require firearm registration. Many of these states also have stand your ground and castle doctrine laws, which provide broad legal protections for individuals using firearms in self-defense. The states identified as having the least restrictive gun laws include Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia. These states generally receive low grades from gun control advocacy groups due to their minimal restrictions on gun ownership and carrying practices. For example, many of these states allow for the concealed or open carry of firearms without a permit.
The airman was a U.S. airman, which means that he was United States Air Force, 23-year-old. I know his name. I can't find it now. But I'll put his name in the edit. He heard an officer knocking on the door. He came to the door with his service weapon and was shot in the chest and fatally killed. Rest in peace. I know it's Roger something. Roger, I'll get the name later. But it's a tragedy that you can't even come to be armed in your own house without ending up dead. not a word from the NRA, which is a big advocate for a person having a gun in their home. Roger Fortson is the name. Air Force Airman Roger Fortson was killed by police in an officer-involved shooting. Officers were responding to a Karen. You know what we call a Karen. Once again, butting in, saying that she heard a disturbance coming from an apartment. It's still unclear whether the police officer arrived at the right apartment, but he did bang on Airman Roger Fortson's door, and Roger Fortson was on the phone with his girlfriend, and he answered the door and got shot immediately. There's another incident involving a 16-year-old. He wasn't shot and killed, but he was called names. A fat person, because another Karen called the police saying that there were some men, of course, these men are black men, in a white pool in a restricted area where these men were not supposed to be. Now, we know the code words. When they call white Karen is calling the cop on a black man or a black woman, and it ends in tragedy. Well, this 16-year-old didn't end in a death, but he was tasered while he was wet, so he could have actually died from his...
The Dred Scott decision, formerly known as Dred Scott v. Sandford, 1857, was a landmark ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court. The court ruled that African Americans, whether enslaved or free, could not be American citizens and therefore had no standing to sue in federal court. Additionally, the court declared the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional, asserting that Congress had no authority to prohibit slavery in U.S. territories.
Counter with police, and thankfully he didn't. But that made the news also. But my point here is that the rules that apply for white folks don't apply for you, black man and woman. And as soon as you think they do, and that you think that you're not black or you have rights and you have laws that should be upheld, the white man is not duty bound to respect any law of a black person. So be careful out there, black man and woman. The laws that white people get away with every day, bringing it back to Trump, are not going to be the same forecast for you. And all of you black men and women talking about you're not black and you're above that, you're in for a rude awakening, especially you young folks that think that we are way past slavery and, oh, that happened in the past, old head. Okay, you wait on it. You think that these people are playing with you. If you don't get some type of mindset, mentality to always be on your guard and always know that you are in a racial system, I hope and pray that nothing happens to you. But I know these type of incidences are going to happen to you, and you're going to wonder why. Oh, it's such a tragedy, such a shame. This is what happens all the time. We have a long history, a long pattern of this type of abusive force, not just from the police, but from just regular citizens like George Zimmerman. This is the Florida state where he got away with murdering Trayvon Martin on the basis of stand your ground.
Yeah, I think you were referencing the Dred Scott case.
There you go. That's it. That's the case that Alton Maddox, attorney at war, used to always quote for us. If we ever got out of line saying it, then, it can't be that bad. He always reminded us of that law, the Dred Scott case.
Yeah.
So I just wanted your comments on it. I
Yeah.
gave mine. Intimate.
Yeah, well, I would like to be optimistic and feel like we've made progress since
And we have. I won't negate it.
The Dred Scott case. Granted, the Dred Scott case took place in 1857. But as of was it yesterday, day before yesterday, and what happened with Trump, gives me pause for some type of redemption and some type of progress. And while we live in a crazy, crazy time, crazy, crazy world right now, because there are states where you can't vote because you are a convicted felon.
That is correct, sir. And you can't carry a firearm.
And not only can you not vote or carry a firearm, but you can't even get government jobs, federal jobs, because you are a convicted felon. And so I find it interesting that you can run to be president as a convicted felon, but you can't hold certain government jobs as a convicted felon. And so I find it interesting that you can turn people away from federal jobs, right? From federal jobs, that a convicted felon can be the president. So it seems hypocrisy to me that you can't be an FBI agent, but you could be a president.
That is called white privilege, brother. And for all you people saying that there's no racism, that there's no, everybody has a fair shot, get out of here with that. Don't bring that mess to me. If you want to believe that, that's fine. All well and good to me. But don't bring that argument to me. For whoever wants to tell me that racism doesn't exist anymore, everybody gets a fair shot in the world. I love shows like Shark Tank. It does give anybody an opportunity to make money, but making money does not end racism. Being successful, as Dr. Moore can attest to, does not end racism. You cannot end racism with money or job opportunities. You can have privilege like white folks do, but if we're not careful and mindful of our thinking, that we as individuals are the end all to be all, and we don't start coming together as a people, and I'm not saying to come together for protest rallies and none of that other nonsense either, but I'm saying get yourself together, but be on the defensive every time that incidents like this happen. I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Dr. Moore?
No. And I mean, I'm in agreement that, money would not exclude you from racism, right? But I will make an argument that money has a lot to do with
Make you
racism.
feel better.
Well,
It'll make you feel better.
It will make you feel better, but it doesn't mean that you still won't be discriminated against. Like,
Right.
I mean,
I think
as
Oprah Winfrey learned that lesson by going to Paris. And they said, you still a nigga to us. We ain't let you in this jewelry shop. We don't let niggas in here.
Well,
and she's
OJ
a billionaire.
OJ too. God bless his soul.
God bless his soul. Or as Caitlyn Jenner said, good riddance.
Did Caitlyn Jenner cause the death of a fellow motorist in a car accident? Details.
Right. He killed a woman in a car accident and had the nerve to say good riddance to OJ. I guess she knows him better than we do, but it seemed inappropriate.
Well, I almost feel like
just being facetious. This is a nigga-loving family.
Who's that? Caitlyn?
The whole Kardashian family. But they got it out for OJ.
Well, I'm just gonna quote OJ and not verbatim, but someone asked OJ how he felt about Caitlyn becoming a woman, and OJ said, "Well, look, I don't feel no kind of way about what was his first name before he became a woman?
Bruce
Jenner. Bruce becoming Caitlyn. He said, in fact, he might be on to something. He said because the way I understand it, old white women live longer than old white men. So he might live a little longer as an old white woman than as an old white man. So he might be on to something. that OJ had a sense of humor, man. Let me tell you.
Rest in peace to OJ and Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. I tell you what, brother, this world is funny. It's a funny world to me. Very funny to me.
But it only becomes more funny and more depressing,
right?
In my opinion, with the more enlightened you become. I read something today, and before I say that, let me quote that. Let me quote. I think it was Brother James Baldwin when he said, "To become conscious in America is," he said, "To become conscious in America is to become," and these aren't his words verbatim, but he said, "To become conscious in America is to become a miserable person."
Right? Wow.
Because your consciousness implores you to do something about the consciousness that you have. Right? And to not be able to do anything about it would make you miserable. Right? So there's something else I've read today, and it was saying people that read books are very irritating and frustrating to people who don't read. And indeed. I relate to that so much because, I am a person that, I don't have a lot of conversation for ignorance, and I don't have a lot of conversation for bullshit conversation, right? Conversation just to have conversation. So I realize that it's hard or challenging for me at times to engage with people because I don't choose or want to engage in shallow conversation. And most people don't like heavy or deep conversation. And not that I want to be deep or heavy, but I don't want to be shallow and superficial.
Right.
And we live in a world where, you know, we have alternative facts and we live in a world where the truth is more entertaining than reality. No. We live in a world where falsehood is more entertaining than reality.
Right.
So people would rather entertain falsehood than truth. So they say that the truth takes the stairs while falsehood takes the elevator.
Wow. A lot to think about, brother. A lot to think about.
Yeah. Well, that's if you want to think. Most people don't want to think, bro.
Right. They'd rather smoke their weed and they reach the astral plane, the mother plane, brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's safer there. There's nothing going on there.
Yeah.
It's far from reality.
Yep.
We all look for some type of escapism. I think this podcast is one way we do it. Escaping the deep thoughts sometimes. But it's in your face. And as Reverend Al Sharpton used to always say, one day you're going to hit that wall. And when you do, hopefully one of your family members is not gone. When you come to the realization of where you're at and what time it is. Reverend Al Sharpton delivers remarks for the funeral for U.S. Airman Roger Fortson. And meanwhile, back in Gotham, we are killing each other hand over foot, brother. They doing any spinning in D.C.? Drill music?
For sure. For sure. We've been spinning and doing drill music for the last 30, 40 plus years, bro. But it just has a new name, and today it's called drill music.
Right. And I call drive-bys, but it's the same old leftovers.
Yeah.
Of the death that we see in our mentality. We don't want to be black, but we want to be killers. And it's not all of us, but it just take a few to spoil the whole bunch. Whenever you can't walk your grandchild down the street without getting hit and killed, it's a sad state of affairs for the black community. Very sad.
Yep. Yeah.
I think we can end it here, brother. I want to overwhelm the people on the first show back. And come back in 2 or 3 weeks. How about that, brother?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. If you want to hear any other black satire or black realism, Check out our other seasons 1, 2, and 3, and you might find something there that you find amusing or uplifting or just positive vibes. I can be reached at wdfnuniverse@gmail.com or 929-214-0543. And you want to leave any information, brother?
Not really, but if someone has some mental health issues and they're looking for some resources, you could go to my webpage at morementalhealthsolutions.com. You're probably gonna have to put in the HTTP what is it, 2 dots, the slash back www more mental health, all one word, more mental health, MORE mental health solutions.com. And you can leave me a message on that site if you want. But other than that, that's it, bro.
Yes, sir. I'm going to give you the last word. I wanted to say there's a lot of new information on P. Diddy out there. And I don't think he's exempt from the smoke that I give anybody that's abusive to women or put women in dangerous situations. And I haven't said anything about it before. I had a lot of respect for P. Diddy. I had the opportunity to meet him. I had the opportunity to meet Don King and Donald Trump in the elevator, brother. I was working for a law firm called Finley Cumble, and I got into the elevator, and I hear this laugh, and I know this laugh from anywhere. It's Don King. And so I looked back, and I said, holy shit, it's Don King. And I started giggling to myself. And right next to him was Donald Trump. And they both had on these big fur coats, long fur coats, going to see Stephen Cumble, the lawyer in this firm called Finley Cumble Wagner. It was surreal. I never really was starstruck back then, but it was the first time I ever ran into a celebrity in my whole life. And the other person that I met was P. Diddy. I had started a company called Bad Boys, and he had sent an email that I couldn't use that name. So I didn't meet him in person, but I did meet him at the affair. When I was in the FOI, we were doing security for the night of where people got trampled to death in the college. I forgot which borough it was in, but I was there the night of all of that tragedy. And we were only there because Public Enemy was performing in that gymnasium. And it was so many people that showed up there, so much more than they had tickets to sell. And at some point, P. Diddy had his own security that night. We were just there to do security for Public Enemy. But we happened to be in the building. You know, we had to take over that situation along with the police officers, we worked with the NYPD to regain control of that crowd, or a lot more people would have got killed. But it was just a coincidence that we were there that night. And P. Diddy was there, and it was a tragedy. And we were right in the middle of it, trying to regain control of the crowd, because I think somebody started 2 fights in there, and the crowd just ran wherever they could to get out the way before people started shooting, or they were throwing glass, and people were, I think, trying to stab somebody, and that's why the crowd ran. And they all ran down the stairs to this gymnasium, and it was locked from the inside, and that's where people got crushed into the door. But enough about me, brother. I wanted to say all of that to say, be mindful of where you go in and your places that you go out to. That was the one way we told everybody in the nation to keep away from these tragic events that happen in your life. We would never be found at a P. Diddy freak-off, but you'd be surprised to some of the places that we intertwine, no matter what our walks of life and lifestyle is. So be careful out there. As they say in Hill Street Blues, be careful out there. And I'll give you the last word, brother. Take us home.
Bro, I think that you said a mouthful, bro. I don't really have anything deeper to say. After what you just said, I just, I don't know that P. Diddy or Puffy Combs is guilty, but it surely looks like he's guilty at this point of a lot of things. But I'll say this in closing. If in fact he is guilty of a lot of these things or all these things, I hope that he will seek and get the mental health treatment that he needs.
Yes, sir.
For the behaviors that he has, because all of the apologies in the world, all of the money in the world is not going to fix, the issues that he has going on. So I hope that he can, as much as Donald Trump has followers and supporters and people that believe that he can do no wrong, I think those people do Donald Trump more of a disservice than a service. And I say the same thing to P. Diddy people and followers. If in fact, he's guilty of these things, then I implore to you guys, to encourage him to get the help that he needs, rather than support that dysfunctional behavior.
Yes, sir. You have been listening to Black Mental Health and Race. If you'd like to leave us any feedback, it would be greatly appreciated. We're not going to beg for subscribers or be one to tell you to hit the like button. We don't care anything about that. We're not doing this for money. There are never any commercials. We are just looking to have a conversation with intelligent people, compassionate people that care about the world and the place that they live in. Hopefully we find like-minded people during these types of conversations. You're listening to Black Mental Health and Race. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the universe. Orlan, brother, Orlan.
I want you to understand and
I put it
know
on
the
share
time.
screen.